21st century capital city. Suddenly, a huge tower appeared out of nowhere and the first cataclysm happened. A gate opened from which monsters emerged and plunged the world into chaos. However, soon there were people who could defeat monsters, hunters. Hunter unions and guilds formed a system, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. However, after that, a second cataclysm occurred. The war between the divine world of Elysium and the demon world of Pandemonium began. The king of Pandemonium, Deimos, brought hordes of demons with him and attacked the earth. However, the divine creatures of Elysium appeared and spoke out against the demons. The land has become a battlefield. The end of this brutal war was brought about by someone who belonged to neither the fearless divine people nor the cruel demonic people, a savior of mankind, a hero. Even among the awakened, he had incredible power. Thanks to this power, he was able to destroy the demon king and put an end to the war. After that, it was a peaceful time that lasted for almost 30 years. A monument to the great warrior has been erected at the State Art Museum. The child asks the mom, "Is this really their hero?" The young man wonders why there are so many people in the museum today. They say that today is the day. The guy with the phone in his hand really didn't feel like doing a group assignment. It was a 23-year-old student named Young Minchell. He said that the professor didn't realize how useless these group activities were. The woman at the museum told the children to hold hands tightly and follow her. It seems that many of the people in the museum came for the tours today. The children looked at the hero statue and said that they wanted to be like that when they grew up. Young Minchu thought that nothing had changed. As a child, he could reach the hero statue at any minute. The tour guide told the children that there was a statue of a hero in front of them. The pupils marveled that this hero was very huge and majestic. School children wonder how a man could be so tall. Was the hero really a giant? Is such a thing possible? The hero, even among hunters, had unimaginable power, and with that power, he protected the people. Had it not been for the hero's actions, the war would still be going on. After the second cataclysm and defeating the demon king, the hero died. This statue was erected so that people would not forget the hero who sacrificed himself for mankind. The boy thought it turns out that they should always live with gratitude for a carefree childhood. He wants to be as strong as the hero. A school boy asked his teacher if they could become hunters like him if they tried hard enough. What do you have to do to become a hunter? The children asked to be enrolled as hunters if they did well in school. Everyone wanted to be a hero. Becoming an official hunter is very difficult. It takes ability and luck. They were too young to realize that it was almost impossible for them. Zhang Minch thought that his young soul was shocked by this. The boy looked at his watch and thought that the time of the meeting was approaching. At that moment, he was called. The friends were surprised that Jung Minchul came before everyone else. It's not usually like him. Zhang Minch said they made it at the last minute. He was about to cross them off. It is said that Zhang Minchul is known in the faculty for his strictness. Last semester, he ruthlessly crossed out Junio, and Young Mi cried and caused a commotion. Young Minchul said he can hear everything. No need to discuss it in front of him. The guy thought that they had now put up a display with the hero's sword. So, there was nowhere for the apple to fall in the room, even on a weekday. It has been a long time since the death of the hero who saved the world. In order to save the world, which has become a battlefield of the king of demons and divine entities, the hero, without sparing his own life, stuck a sword into the heart of the king of demons. And today is the first day that the hero sword, Divine Sword Kallet, has been displayed for the people. The tour guide invited the next visitors to enter the room with a new exhibit, a sword. Young Minch immediately recognized the Kallet Divine Sword. Is this really the sword of the hero? It looks like it's brand new. There are no scratches, scuffs, or cracks. It seemed to the young man that the sword trembled or began to move from place to place. What's going on? Is this really such a performance art? Now he feels like he's gone up in the air. In the next moment, young Minchul felt that sword pierce his chest, blood splashing in different directions. Young Chul was frightened. Why was the sword piercing him now? And who was this person in front of him? Could it be that, with a sword in his hand, the hero in front of him is the one in front of him? Young Chu called the man a hero of humanity. The young man wondered why his lips were moving on their own. Young Minchu called himself Commander-in-Chief Damos. Who would have thought that he would meet such an outstanding warrior in such a backwater dimension? Damo said that the hero's martial arts are commendable and he wants to hear his name. Young Min wondered if he was the Commander-in-Chief of Damos. Demos laughed. Would the hero even refuse to speak to him? Yet he must not let his guard down, for they would meet again. Young Mole came to his senses while lying on the floor. His head was splitting with pain. The boy opened his eyes and saw his friends above him. They were looking at him in fright. What happened? Young Chu pulled himself up and asked, did he really pass out? The friends inquired about what had happened to him. His head still continued to hurt. The boy realized that he had fainted, but that sword had just risen up and pierced him. A co-worker said that young Minchol looked at the sword and then suddenly passed out. Did he fall asleep, standing up? Young Mincho wondered if he had imagined all this, but it was real. When he saw the divine sword, strange images appeared in his mind. 23 years ago, to destroy the world, the Demon King came to Earth, the ruler of one of the four dimensions, the Pandemonium, Commander-in-Chief Demos. Young Minchu thought, was that really what he had been called in his past life? Friends said that Zhang Minch did a great job and offered to celebrate with a chicken. Who would have thought that they could get great grades from such a teacher? It was right that they trusted Zhang Minchu. Young Minchul said that they were all good. The friend wondered, why is this guy in such a strange state all the time? After going to the museum, friend suggested, maybe he hit his head. Maybe he needs to go to the hospital. Young Minchu said he was fine. He just had to think about something for a while. Colleagues wondered where Zhang Minchul was going. Isn't he going to celebrate the end of the exam? The young man wondered if his friend had given up drinking. It seemed that something had really happened to him. Zhang Minchul thought that his mind was a mess right now. He needed to gather his thoughts. After all, he's just an ordinary, humble guy who actually turned out to be the reincarnation of a demon king. When Demos invaded Earth, many people were injured and destroyed. All his life, he waited, hating him with all his soul. But in the end, this villain turned out to be the one. The young man told his teacher that when he grew up, he would become a hero capable of piercing a demon king with his sword. And these words were spoken by a former demon king. After all, it's ridiculous. Zhang Minch thought that there was no way he could get his old body back, and he himself hadn't gained any special. Why does he need these memories? Plus, there's another question. Why did he being a demon king die in the first place? After all, his body on Earth was a substitute body. So, after his death, the spirit should have returned to his real body. Also, the hero who was perfectly fine died with him. Zhang Minch couldn't understand what was the point of these thoughts. There was no use wasting time thinking about something like this. It was better to think about what he could do now. The gap between Damos and Zhang Minch begins with mana. For beings belonging to the higher dimension, feeling mana is easier than walking or breathing. Very few people belonging to the lower dimension are able to sense magical energy. Young Minch thought to take a deep breath and focus his mind. Our hero felt the mana, so he fulfills the condition. Now we need to gradually remember how to use mana. A system status has been added. The awakened Zhang Minchul received a unique player ability. Our hero's mind was a mess, if only for being a demon king in a past life. Now, having become awakened, Zhang Minchul didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The system prompted our hero to activate the status window and check his characteristics. Zhang Minchul had a unique ability. His karma is so strong that he can overturn the laws of this world. By defeating monsters and gaining points, he can change the laws. The guy thought, is it really possible to get stronger by defeating monsters? It's like a game. The higher and lower dimensions are separated by the amount of karma. Beings from higher dimensions have powerful karma, so they have more power than beings from lower dimensions. For this reason, when a being from a higher dimension penetrates a lower dimension, it must use a substitute body. It also gets restraint, all to keep it in balance. These are the laws of measurement. That's why the Demon King used a replacement body. However, our hero has the power to change these laws. Junkal thought that in that case, he might exceed the limit. Ordinary Zhang Mincho is no longer a Demon King. He can't do anything for humanity. Pandemonium and Elysium have already made a truce agreement and paid reparations. If the people who have just recovered from the cataclysm learn of the Demon King's rebirth, the world will fall back into chaos. Besides, our hero must continue to live as Zhang Minch somehow. The guy decided to use the information from his past life. Zhang Minch thought that when he became stronger, he would contribute to humanity's prosperity. He thought that would be enough. To begin with, young Minchal decided to do something about magic. In the Demoza's memories, there were many ways to increase mana. Junkal found himself in a forest clearing in front of the magic circle. It was a circle of gathering a large amount of mana. This circle is inherited by demon kings from generation to generation. It concentrates mana by collecting it from the environment. Right now, there is no driving force in this circle, so it is not active. However, if you add a magic item, everything will change. Young Minchu placed a mana stone in the magic circle. The magic circle detected the energy source and was activated. The mana increased 4.5 times. Young Minchu thought that the concentration of mana was so strong that it was visible to the naked eye. This is the best environment to begin pranayama. It is necessary to draw in the natural mana with the breath and keep it inside you. This is the basic pranayama that everyone knows about. What our hero has to learn is breathing, which allows us to create a small cosmos in our consciousness by absorbing the energy of the stars. During the time when Jong Minchul was a demos, he made a contract with a heavenly demon and infiltrated a dimension called Miram. There, the hero learned the most ancient spiritual technique impossible to learn for anyone but the great masters, the servants of demonism. While there for a long time, the hero was able to master and learn various martial arts. As a result, he transformed them into a technique that surpassed the power of the demon battle system. The hero rose to the top of the demon world precisely because of martial arts. So his choice was obvious. Jong Minchul, while in a lotus pose at the center of the magic circle, was filled with a stream of stars. Young Minchul realized that if he was distracted for even a second, his body would be torn apart by the force of the stars. The guy tried his best not to stop, or he might die, or go crazy. The body of a mere human can't contain the energy of the stars, but he was a demon king in his past life. He can't take any pain. Magic Mana Circle time has ended. One skill star has been reached. Under the influence of the star system technique, the body becomes stronger. Strength, dexterity, build, stamina, magic. Everything has been increased. It is now possible to move the strongest waves from the nebula of light and darkness into consciousness, which the user can apply at will. Jong Minchul thought, are the techniques he was receiving really considered skills? Young Minchul wondered, did the star system's technique really use both the power of light and the power of darkness? The guy thought, after all, if he was a demon in the past, he could only absorb the power of darkness. If a complete star system technique helps one absorb the power of two nebulae with his breath, then he could definitely become the strongest in all dimensions. This time, Jong Minchul thought that he could handle everything now and he wouldn't repeat past mistakes. There were a lot of people in front of the Hunter Registration Center, as always. The young man knew that in order to act as a hunter, it was imperative to register with the association. Jong Minch got his result in hand. What our hero saw on paper seemed to him unfortunate. The smallest value is the E rank. Jong Minch wondered why this girl standing next to him was embarrassed. Was it because she saw his results? Young Minchul thought that the association couldn't determine the power of the universe. He only saw magic. The guy said he had one question for the examiner. What do the letters in brackets in the characteristics section mean? The girl answered that they mean the potential abilities of the hunter. Those awakened in towers or gates can improve by defeating monsters. The brackets indicate the limit of this improvement. Jong Minch thought that normal hunters had a predetermined limit of perfection, but that didn't apply to him. There were hunters who could gain more strength than what the association had determined. The checker said that although the young man was too weak to go to the tower, there were many areas where his abilities would come in handy. The girl told Jong Minchul not to get so upset. Jong Minch thought the checker was cheering him up, but he wasn't upset at all. Jong Minch went to the porch and heard that the Sacred Mountain Guild was good at training newcomers. Representatives of various guilds were agitating for hunters to join their ranks. Young Minchul thought that the callers were working tirelessly to drag the awakened ones to them. They said that they invested a lot in young talents. Young Minchul thought, do these callers really know that he got an E rank? Young Minch realized that to the guild representatives, he was a weak link that any organization would want to shun. Jong Minch received a new formational message on his phone. The message said about the license exam. 10 days left. Our hero decided to hold off on pumping for the time being. The Hunter License Exam is a randomly selected test that tests combat and survival abilities. With current characteristics, our hero is of course a prime candidate for failure. To pass the exam, it's worth improving your physical fitness to begin with. Under the influence of the star system technique, the physical characteristics increased. He was able to increase his performance by just controlling his breathing. However, it was not easy. He was even considering whether to wait until the exam began. The practical experience was left over from his past life. If he pumped his body enough, he could definitely pass the exam. During the day, the protagonist trained his body and pushed his limits. At night, young Minchul honed his star system technique and perfected himself. A week later, turning to the characterization window, the lad was quite pleased. He was inspired by the gleaming numbers. It was his blood, sweat, and tears that had been shed this week. Young Cole thought that it was certainly worth it. Next, our hero decided to focus on the nebula of light and darkness. Two opposites collide and form a force, the energy of the universe. In his previous life, the hero could only use dark power. It took him over a year to obtain the second star. Now, he had gotten the second star in just 2 weeks and had improved his fitness even more. Now, you can master the Fist of the Seven Stars, Unknown Vagrant, and the Footstep of Sliding Clouds. This is a basic fighting technique consisting of 7 stances and created by many nameless vagabonds. To learn it, you need to raise your inner energy and strengthen the right parts of your body. This technique is easy to combine with other techniques. Plus, it includes pretty basic moves, so it's perfect for him right now. Like star system techniques, the system considers hero techniques to be skills. Crank fist is well below star system techniques. Star system technique. I Yank the fist of the unknown vagrant of the 7 stars is C rank. For a basic combat skill, it is quite sufficient. Zhang Minch thought that if it were his will, he would have learned all the higher martial techniques, but without a base, it could lead to dire consequences. The next thing to do was to study the footsteps of the gliding clouds. This is not the technique that the hero used previously, but in his current form, walking is the most suitable. This walking technique is not able to push back the enemy, but it is good for counterattacks and balance. Young Minch decided that now it was a good time to practice this. The access of the sliding clouds had been activated. Young Minch wondered if it was the gliding clouds of the 1st star. But this kind of speed could not be achieved until the 4th star. Besides, the balance was perfect. Are the martial arts he activates using the energy of the universe so much more advanced than the ones he obtained using darkness magic? Zhang Minch approached the huge, lonely tree and decided that it was okay to try it once. Our hero swung, and with all his might struck his fist into the trunk of this tree. His fist was covered in blood after the blow, but the tree was no longer the same as before. Young Minchell was surprised. Did the tree really explode? Even basic martial techniques could do such a thing. Zhang Minch thought that he would easily reach the peaks he stood on in his past life. However, if he attacks with his bare hands even once more, his entire body will collapse. Young Cole presented his Awakened 1 registration card at the entrance. The card was validated and our hero was allowed entry. At the entrance, the girl said hello and thanked him for visiting the Interstellar Union branch. What had brought the young man here? An alliance of traders and warriors from different galaxies. It is one of the 3 strongest military forces spanning all dimensions. The trade union sells powers and items to anyone regardless of dimension or species. Their influence is so high that there is not a single species that has not once used the powers of the Interstellar Union. The trade union is an organization that no one would quarrel with. Dirty traders who cover themselves with a neutral position to rake in huge profits. Zhang Minchell told the girl at the entrance that he wanted to meet the head of the department. Zhang Minch said code R. He added that it should be enough to call the head of the department. The staff saw the head of Martin running. Looks like a big deal is coming up. I wonder what's going on there. The head asked our hero, is he really Ancode customer? The branch head said that VIP customers rarely enter their branch. He apologizes for being rude. A young man wants to use the warehouse in the dimensions. The head of the branch looked like an old man, well worn by life, but by dwarf standards. He was still considered young. He was given the helm of the branch head at such a young age. He seems to have outstanding abilities. However, dwarves are all the same. The branch head said that they came to the warehouse in the dimensions. Normally, transactions between dimensions would take a huge amount of time and money. But by creating a warehouse, the Union had made it much easier to make it was the pride of the Union absorbing their core technology. Zhang Minch thought that high technology was used here at high price. So to use it, one had to confirm the identity of a VIP or the head of the Interstellar Union. A total of 24 VIPs are known. Their identities are kept top secret. Even Union members can't recognize our hero's true nature. The protagonist entered the magical imprint of the code R. The identity was confirmed, and our hero entered the warehouse in dimensions. Our hero was left with 1 item in the warehouse. If he knew he was going to be reborn, he would have left more items. Is it good luck that he couldn't take the item with him to Earth and just left it here for a while? It looked like it was just a rock lying underfoot in the street. Thanks to our hero, the stone awakened and turned into a black star. The black star discovered its new master. Young Min knew that the black star would be sealed. It's an artifact whose power is determined by the karma of the owner. Right now, his stage of development is lower than that of a demon, so there can't be any accumulated karma. For now, he can only use its basic functions. Young Minchell activated the appearance changes, and a sword appeared in his hand. It was enough to make the hunter's exam simple. For someone who has studied various martial arts, this is the best weapon. Who would have thought that Zhang Chu would become a VIP? This guy, although a VIP, doesn't look like a powerful man. The branch head said that he had seen it with his own eyes. There could be no doubt. However, how come there was a VIP user in the lower dimension? It seems that some being from the higher dimensions did not want to show their essence, but created a substitute body on Earth and hid their power. The head of the branch said that he sensed something grandiose. The interlocutor remarked that the nature of a true merchant does not dwarf said. If this guy brought money, then he's our client. The girl should observe the situation, but not investigate for now. The interview said she would try her best to make sure the information did not leak to other departments. The branch head thanked her and said he was very much looking forward to it. Higher beings watched the land closely after the tower has been penetrated. The head of the branch thought that with the help of this client, he would rise to an even higher position. The day of the hunter exam at the license testing center has arrived. He was told to stay in the waiting room until the set time. Young Minchu saw reporters along his route. However, the reporters were interested in Shin Yumi. Is she really taking the hunter's license exam today? Would Young Woo be able to give just one interview? Young Minch thought, are these really some celebrities? Isn't Shin Yumi the daughter of the ambassador of Vonheim? Half human, half elf. Rumor has it that this girl can control spirits. Yusung was taken into the Hwarang Guild after a psychological test and a swordsmanship test. The examiners were informed that testing would begin in 10 minutes. Each of the participants can get a hunter's watch from the informants. Young Minch thought that this was not a natural environment. This area had been created by humans. But why the jungle in particular? How could an exam be held in such a place? Reported that the disciplines tested on the 55th license test will be announced. The exact information about the exam was displayed on the hunter's watch that was issued by the guild. Each of the examinees started with the same level of shield energy, which is consumed when taking damage. After studying the information on the clock, our hero thought that everything was well thought out here. There are 3 ways to pass the exam. Score 50 points by destroying 50 common monsters marked on the map. To hunt other, these words mean that there is an opponent on each side. Zhang Minchul was ready to begin. Normally, exam participants have to compete with each other to gain points. Of course, there were those who suggested teaming up. However, our hero did not see much point in company, and it was not his style. Young Minchul went deep into the forest alone. He needed a monster boss. Moving through the forest, our hero noticed that no one was fighting. But that's the interesting part. Young Minchul heard the clang of steel clashing against steel in the distance. He thought that it had finally begun. This was a good way to test the other participants' abilities. The hunter approached a huge saber-toothed beast with a terrible tail. Young Mincho thought that he would deal with the Black Star first. For that, he needed a spear. The protagonist activated the gliding clouds and activated the energy of a universe. Armed with his spear, he attacked the beast. Of course, it was an illusory monster created specifically for the exam, but the fury and power emanating from it seemed real. The opponent's hide was tough, and it had a lot of strength. Young Min Cho thought that in his weak body, it was better not to be attacked by this beast. Young Minch saw a hammertail flying towards him out of the corner of his eye. Our hero managed to dodge at the last moment. The tail made it difficult to fight with a melee weapon. Zhang Minchul has decided to change his tactics in the fight. The swift spear technique, crushing blow, was activated. As a result, the monster was destroyed. The system reported that the hunter had defeated the named monster stalker. Our hero thought that the monsters here were stronger than he thought. If it was a named one, we can expect a pretty good boss. Zhang Minchul saw 3 hunters approaching him, discussing that this guy had destroyed the famous monster they were hunting. The hunters were 3 brothers. One of them said, "Has this fellow lost all fear? Doesn't he know who they are? When they speak of the Black 3-star, they mean them. The world-famous brothers." Young Minch thought that these 3 came from the direction where the sounds of battle were coming from. They must be tracking down the weakened participants on purpose. Zhang Minch activated his eyes of truth and scanned the characteristics of these brothers. If you only look at the physical characteristics, they are much cooler than our heroes. Their potential isn't bad either. One of the brothers was outraged by the fact that this insolent man was looking them in the eye and smiling. This guy didn't seem to realize the situation he was in. Young Minchu, realizing that they would have to fight anyway, beckoned his brothers with his hand and told them to stop talking too much and attack. One of the brothers said that he was going to shut the guy up. The other said they were going to let him go if he gave up his glasses, but now they would have to teach him manners. Zhang Manch engaged his opponents and counterattacked while effectively fending off their attacks. The opponent swinging his sword said that this guy came to their hands by himself. However, the attacks of the enemies did not succeed. Young Man Cole thought that the opponents were acting quite coherently, but they were attacking the wrong person. The protagonist struck one of the brothers multiple times with his spear. Young Min Cole, attacking the 2 opponents, thought that the 3rd brother wouldn't be able to use magic against him since his brothers were right next to him. Given the opportunity, the 3rd brother used magic and directed an energy pulse at his opponent. Zhang Minch activated the 5 Tiger Blade and successfully repelled the energy attack. After effectively using the 5 Tiger Blade, Zhang Minch thought that it would be enough for his opponent. Our hero says he's done with this guy. One older of the brothers didn't want to put up with it and said it couldn't be. However, the system warned that our hero was the winner and reported how many points he had earned. The brothers were surprised that this guy had defeated their elder and his weapon possessed a serious aura. Zhang Minchel thought that it couldn't be that only one of the brothers had glasses with such abilities. He decided that it was time to finish what he had started and, putting his sword forward, moved towards his opponents. He wondered how many points he would get for these guys. Those watching in the guild broadcasting hall couldn't believe their eyes. Did one of the black 3 stars already drop out? Those guys were raised by the second most important guild in the country. Who defeated those brothers? I'm sure that handsome Sung Woo did his best. This kid was personally scouted by Mr. Lee Wan Tuk, the second-ranked hunter in the country. He's the one who trained and created the best young talent. So, even the 3 youths from the Jumzin guild can't handle him. The girl watching the screen assumed that her guild was winning in this exam. However, everyone saw the guy who got on the monitor screen while beating his brothers. The girl, without raising her eyes, said that this was their beautiful son, Wu, the pride of the Han Guild. However, it was a completely different person, a hitherto unknown hunter. Who could it be? Those watching the screen were amazed. This guy had already eliminated the 20th hunter. Zhang Minch thought that he didn't want to run into the guys marking the first place, so he walked around the boss area, but he never met them. Now, there wasn't much time left. Zhang Minchal decided that the exam was more important now, so it was necessary to deal with him first. The guy wanted to see the boss. There was only one path leading to the boss monster. It was the entrance to the cave. Ahead was a narrow path that only one person would fit on, and at the end was the golem. Zhang wondered, did these guys from the testing center really want someone to defeat such a boss? Evaluating the size of this golem, our hero thought that if he got hit by even one blow, he would immediately drop out of the exam. We can't give him time to recover. You have to continuously deal damage. That's what our hero did with his unique spear. After a series of continuous blows, the system reported that the golem had no damage. The fight continued. Junkal thought that he was overcome with boredom after those non-star brothers, but now he could try to fight properly. Our hero has yet to see the need to use the blade of the 5 tigers. Youngmin Cole decided that the black star would be best for now, and the axe mountain cleaving technique was activated. The blow was so effective that a crack appeared in the golem. In this case, the size of the crack did not matter. Youngie and Cole thought that if it didn't succeed the first time, he could hit it 10 or even 100 times. The protagonist was confident that he would definitely defeat this golem. At some point, our hero noticed that he was being watched. Could it be that another hunter had appeared? The girl was surprised when she saw that she had been overtaken. It was Jing Yui. Her unique ability was the ability to summon spirits. Young Minil was upset because he had almost won. Why did she suddenly appear? Young Minch thought if this girl with her spirit summoning skill got close to him, he wouldn't be able to counter her and the golem at the same time. But if he attacked Shin Yumi first, the golem would recover and the situation would become hopeless. The girl inquired if she wanted to help the hunter defeat this golem. Young Minch was surprised after all. He had already almost won. Does she really want to come already? Shiny Yui added that in her opinion, this guy alone would not defeat the golem. Young Chul thought if he tried his best, he would be able to capitalize even from such a stalemate. Young Min offered the girl a bet that he could defeat the Blue Guardian by himself in 10 minutes. The girl said that it's obvious that he can't beat him. And why would she want to? What would she gain? Junkal said that if he loses, he will give her all his points. He has more than he can get for defeating the boss. Shiny Yumi asked what would happen if the hunter won. Young Minchel stopped. He hadn't even thought about it. At that moment, Golem began to recover. Young Minchal got angry while he was talking his rival was recovering. The guy yelled that in that case, she would pay for his dinner. Shiny Yumi said as soon as she sees her opponent losing, she will immediately intervene. Young Minchu replied that he agrees because that won't happen. Shin Yumi wondered why the hunter was talking to her so casually. After all, this was the first time they had met. Zhang Minch said that if she's not happy, she can switch to you with him. After a short time, the system reported that the exam was over. Zhang Minch, resting to the side, saw someone asking for a potion to help contestant number 370. Our hero was tired and was having a hard time. His energy and stamina were at 0. Because the Blue Guardian had regained some of his life while they were talking, he almost lost that bet. Shingyumi watching our hero couldn't believe it. Would she really have to treat him a dinner? This hunter read every attack of the Blue Guardian and attacked in a timely manner without a single mistake. Shinyui thought if she fought this guy, would she be able to win? When she fought Young Wu, he was fast and strong, but that was it. If they meet again, she's sure she can win. It was announced that the first place winner was Hunter Zhang Minchu. Young Wu was only third. Young Woo didn't want to speak in front of reporters and said that he wasn't in the mood to talk to anyone. The security service said it was impossible to get an interview right now. They will provide details to the media a little later. Jong Minch thought that it was necessary to leave quickly before he was noticed. However, it was not possible to leave unnoticed. When our hero opened the doors, everyone shouted that it was him. Jong Minch number 1. The reporters asked for Hunter Young Chul to give them an interview. The guy tried to remember if there were any other doors so he could leave unnoticed. Young Minch thought if he stayed here too long, he wouldn't be able to get home either. He said that he had conditions to join the guild. The protagonist raised his hand up and showing his fingers said 5 billion. He would join wherever he was offered that amount. There was silence among the reporters and guild representatives. Someone said although his skills were great, his characteristics were too low. Why would anyone want a hunter with no development potential? Zhang Kal said he was sorry but thought he wasn't going to join anything. He can go home now. Who would be willing to give a brazen newcomer that much money? However, someone said that they wanted to pay for this contract. Is there really a guild that is willing to pay an unknown newcomer 5 billion at once? What kind of madness is this? Young Minchell turned around to look at this madman. Standing in front of him was the short man, Mr. Martin from the Interstellar Union. Young Minchell inquired, "What is Mr. Martin up to?" The young man warned that he didn't want to join any guild. The dwarf said he knew that he just wanted to ensure the comfort of a valued customer. The branch head said he would like to register the young man with the Interstellar Union as a free mercenary. Under the terms of the contract, they will work as equals. The Interstellar Alliance will not interfere with the hunter's activities at all. They will provide the gate and hire a support team and are willing to buy all items obtained during the sweep at the highest price. Zhang Mincho thought that the contract itself was not a problem, but the conditions were too good. The guy didn't remember the Interstellar Alliance doing charity work. Nothing in this world is for free. The cardinal rule of the Interstellar Alliance, and they decided to help him for free. No one's going to believe that. The young man said it seemed like a waste of time. The head of the branch said that all they want is his trust. Zhang Minch thought that the Star Alliance thought that there were huge powers behind him if he was a VIP. However, he's already shown everything he has. So what to do now? If that was their goal, it seemed like they were just trying to play him. He didn't see the point in refusing. Young Minch signed that contract. The interview asked the branch manager if he was sure they needed a free mercenary. Mr. Martin replied that he would not get involved in something like this without thinking. Headed Martin said that the girl could go and prepare to meet the clients. The free mercenaries of the Union are as strong as the nobles of Pandemonium. For this reason, someone at least as high as the Union director must authorize such a contract. A VIP code alone may not be enough to obtain authorization, but the opportunity must not be missed. Martin has prepared several proposals and is ready to enter into a debate with the director. The director, after listening to all the arguments, authorized the free mercenary contract. The head of the branch was surprised. Was it really that easy? The director said that it was necessary to support this person as best as possible, and if anything happened to report immediately. Outsiders must keep the contract secret. Mr. Martin didn't understand what was going on. When he said that this man was a VIP, the reaction was calm enough, but when he saw the video of his fight, everything changed. One of the 12 directors of the Interstellar Alliance, the Dragon Man Knox, watching the video, said it was as if he was watching a fight of his. Not a single unnecessary movement. Everything is well thought out. However, that's impossible because he is already dead. The protagonist opened his eyes. He was lying on the bed. What time is it? And why didn't the alarm clock go off? Why is the phone off? The boy heard someone knocking loudly on the front door. The other side said it was Ellie from the Interstellar Union. Zhang Minchal opened the door and said that a beautiful lady had come to his den. She could have just called. Our hero thought he was looking at the short man's secretary. Ellie said she thought it would be better to talk in person, but she was sending messages on her phone. Zhang Minchal apologized and said he didn't see the message. In such a mess, he might not have noticed. There were so many missed calls and messages on his phone. How could he even get his number? Young Min asked what the girl wanted to discuss. Ellie looked around and said that Mr. Young Min lived very modestly. The boy was surprised. What does modesty have to do with it? After all, the Union has already investigated and knows why he lives like that. Ellie said they didn't do anything that might displease an expensive client. The girl said the hunter showed his ID when he entered the Union, so they figured he would be going to take the exam soon. Young Minch thought that they were really trying not to invade his personal space. It was only to his advantage. Ellie offered the client a working phone as well as a card with an agreed amount of money on it. Young Minchell was surprised when he saw the bank statement. There was almost 5 billion in the account. Ellie said she had to deduct tax from the original amount. Young Minchell wondered, was the Interstellar Alliance really giving him this money? Our hero said he lives modestly, but that's because his money habits are in line with student Zhang Minch. Ellie said there was another reason why she was here so early. The team issue under his leadership needed to be fine-tuned, as well as the conditions surrounding the gate. Young Manchel said that he would have enough porters. Ellie wondered, what about the hunters for the role of a tank or a hitter? Young Manch said that his one would be enough. Ellie said that once they set up a team and find a suitable gate, they can start mopping up. Young Minch said that it would take a lot of time. Our hero also wants to try out the rights of a hunter, and he also received a unique feature to increase the level, but has never used it yet. Ellie says it won't take long, because she's talented. 3 hours passed. The girl led our hero to his destination. Young Minch thought it was too fast. In front of the protagonist was the gate of the Amsterdam district. Jong Minch thought that Ellie was really talented. Now he understood why the girl was so confident. Hunter wondered if the newcomer in front of him was the one who had turned the licensing exam upside down. Ellie said hello to the commander. Ellie introduced our hero to the cheerleading squad. Hunter said that he was the commander of Jong Yong Hyun support team. He expressed that he hoped to do a great job. Our hero introduced himself and expressed the same hope. The young men shook hands. Jong Min Cole said that only he would be fighting inside the gate. Once it was over, the cheerleaders would have to collect the rewards. Jong Yin Hyen thought that he only came here because Ellie asked him to. However, who is this guy if they've been summoned on short notice? I mean, it's everybody's day off. Hunter said this is the first time he's heard of Jong Minchel. The colleague explained that he was the one who had won first place on the hunter's license exam. Was the newcomer really going to clear the gate alone? However, the monster was really destroyed by this guy alone. Jong Yong Hun wondered, could this guy really have dealt with a spiny boar? One of the most difficult D-rank monsters in one blow. Jong Minchal told the cheerleaders that he's going to be a little busy from now on, so they shouldn't fall behind. Destroying monsters, our hero continuously gained experience points. His level constantly increased. After destroying the next batch of monsters, the protagonist stated that his level had finally risen to the right value. While relaxing, Young Min Chu told the cheerleaders not to relax. Can't they see that everything around them is scattered? Pointing at the destroyed monsters, our hero told the support group not to slack off. Jong Minchel decided to check the status window, but the accumulated points were not enough. Every time the player level up, he gets free characteristic points. With their help, it is possible to increase the desired characteristic. So, the choice is obvious. It is necessary to invest everything in the power of the universe, the source of his power. In just half an hour of hunting, the protagonist was able to increase the energy of the universe by 10%. The guy figured that at this rate, he'd be the strongest in the world in no time. In the dungeon, our hero was attacked by wise monkeys. After the protagonist dealt with these monkeys, he increased his experience and added certain skills. The cheerleader thought that this guy was completely obsessed with fighting. He didn't look like an inexperienced infant, but a warrior who had perfected his skills through countless battles. It's impossible to believe these are the abilities of a guy who only recently became a hunter. Zhang Yinhyang wanted to see how high this guy would fly. Zhang Minch thought, is boss really the only one left? Our hero said that he would go straight to the boss. The support group wouldn't mind, right? Zhang Yonghyun replied that the hunter can do what he thinks is right. The young man wondered what was going on with the commander. Why is Zhang Yan speaking in a low voice? The squad leader replied that they usually investigate the gate for a few days and then go to the boss. Because there's not enough information, you can't rush in and risk your life. Young Minchel wondered why would he stall for such a trifling reason. If that was the only reason, he would go right away. A gate can only be considered cleansed when its core has been destroyed. So, if you go where the core energy comes from, you can solve this issue. Also, a boss can be found at the core location. The protagonist had indeed met the boss. It was the leader of the wise monkeys, Idomon. The ability of the leader of the wise monkeys is that he can use the ringleader spells. Zhang Yunhyung told his colleague that Idtun is a strong enemy. It's necessary to take the fight seriously this time. Zhang Minch said that there was no cause for concern, and after preparing his sword, he headed towards the leader of the monkeys. The guy figured he should just not give Idomon the opportunity to use the spell. However, the monkey leader used the spell, and the system reported that the hero had entered the zone of the numbness totem. The numbness curse spreads over the body, and dexterity is reduced. Zhang Minch used the flower dagger technique and stabbed his dagger into the head of the wooden statue to cancel the effects of the spell. Itun and his subordinates expressed extreme displeasure that the wooden statue had been harmed. The monkeys attacked our hero, but were destroyed. The boy thought that they had lost even when they decided to attack the one who was stronger than them. Itun was getting angry, and it was clear from the look on his face that this was not going to end well. Itun stood up to his full height and roared loudly. He was frightening and terrible. Zhang Yinhyung said that the monkey boss has been buffed. He is now much stronger and can't be defeated against the enemy alone. Zhang Ch wondered what was his cheerleader whispering about behind his back. Our hero activated the blade of the 5 tigers and prepared to repel the powerful attack. The system reported that the gate sweep was complete. When Ellie returned from the gate, she said that the hunter, young Minchu, had done a good job. He wondered if she had been waiting for him all this time. Ellie admitted that she had been waiting all this time since it was his first gate sweep. Young Minch thought that he would like to move on to the next gate as soon as possible. After learning that the next sweep would be in 3 days, our hero said he had something else to do. Young Manchel asked the girl to put every day on the schedule, starting the day after tomorrow. Ellie was surprised because the hunters would clear the gate every 3 or 4 days due to fatigue. Young Minch says he's interested in the gear merchant. He thinks he should at least have something to put on himself. The guy thought that during the time of the demos, his whole body was covered in demonic skin, so he didn't pay attention to the attack. But now it's hard without equipment. His whole body is scarred. Ellie said that he would only be able to meet with the Union Master, and she would let him know when the appointment was made. Hunter Zhang Minch was thanked at the Union and told he could come back anytime. Zhang Minch thought that he had spent as much as 4 million on equipment. Our hero had no idea that the master would be the short Martin. He's too suspicious. The head of the branch said he wouldn't disappoint the hunter. So far, his way of doing things had satisfied our hero. But this was different. Young man Chul was returning home on public transportation. The guy thought it was necessary to get some exercise when he returned. Suddenly, there was an accident on the roadway because many cars had stopped at the intersection. Chong Minch wondered, is this really an unexpected accident? This is suspicious. Someone shouted that a gate had appeared up ahead. Is there really a gate in the center of the capital? Young Minchel saw that this gate was black in color. The day before he had cleaned the blue-colored gate. A huge wolf monster emerged from this gate. There was panic in the street. Everyone was shouting that a monster had appeared and that they had to hide. The monsters kept arriving from the gate and screaming that they needed humans' food. The civilians didn't realize when the association would finally show up and kept scattering in different directions. There was a little girl standing in the middle of the street crying loudly. She was calling for her mom. A huge monster with a crossbow in his hand appeared in front of the girl. It was a real hunter. Young Minchel jumped up to the monster, grabbed the child in his arms, and asked why the girl was crying. At the same moment, he thrust his spear into the chest of the filthy beast. The protagonist said that this monster even felt sorry for using martial arts. He should just die and give up his experience points. The wolf monster was destroyed. Our hero gained 2 and 12% experience. Zhang Minch thought that this monster's level was low, so he didn't get many points either. The system reported that the energy of the universe was detected in the body of a defeated enemy. The hero can absorb the energy of the universe. The monsters continued to rampage through the streets of the capital, throwing the city into chaos. The hunters came to the defense of the city. Fire lightning was used against the armed monsters. The monsters attacked the hunter with arrows, but the warrior was able to protect himself and his colleague with a shield. De Honkanteur. Mijuan said that there were too many monsters and her mana was running low. Dank Hunter Young Man's Su said that his shield is running out of strength. These monsters were different in color from the ones coming out of the On Gate. They didn't seem to be ordinary. The hunter saw a young man with a spear in his hand without protection, pounced on the aggressive monsters, and began to methodically destroy them. This young man was our hero who said that monsters are free energy. The strange colored monsters couldn't do anything about this hunter. However, the number of monsters continuously decreased. The bodies of the destroyed monsters were lying everywhere. The frightened hunters asked who he was and where did he get so much power from. The protagonist, by destroying monsters, absorbed their energy and gained experience points. Young Minch said that the 2 hunters should not just stand there and help the wounded. He, on the other hand, will hold off the monsters for the time being. The guy swung his sword and said that all monsters would now become his experience points. At the end of the fight, a young man approached our hero in the cafe and said that it was a pleasure to meet him. The young man held out a business card and said his name was Zhang Songhai. Zhang Songhai said that he heard that this hunter had stopped the breakout from the gate all by himself. Young Minch said that everything happened unexpectedly because the gate opened in the center of the city. If no one had stopped the monsters, the casualties would have been enormous. Zhang Songhai said that thanks to the actions of Hunter Zhang Minchu, they got by with a little bloodshed. The man bowed and said he would like to thank the hunter on behalf of the Our Hero said that he was doing his civic duty. Zhang Xianqi said that the hunter helped curb the breach, so he should be rewarded. Our hero looked at the business card and thought that the head of defense was certainly a hunter. He could feel the mana and his rank. After a week, our hero met Zhang Sungi again. Young Minchal couldn't even think that they would meet here. If you go back in time 2 days, it becomes clear that the protagonist was also fighting a two-headed werewolf. Using his unique sword, our hero destroyed this werewolf as well. The system reported that the hero had leveled up. However, with intensive training, the protagonist needed more and more experience points. It was necessary to get equipped sooner to go to mop up the more difficult. The squad leader in support wondered if Zhang Minchal wasn't resting again. Zhang Minchal replied that now that the tension had subsided, not yet fully, was the best time. Our hero asked if Ellie was already waiting for him. The girl replied that her job was to help the hunter young Minchal. The girl added that their department cares about the young man. Young Minchal thought that this girl was in direct subordination to Shorty Martin. The girl said that the head of the department wanted to meet. His equipment was already ready. The cheerleaders shouted happily. They figured they could rest for a while. Zhang Manchal looked at the hunter and wondered what kind of reaction this was. The head of the mopping up squad said, because there's a villain here who didn't let these guys rest. After all, they were working 3 times as hard as usual. Zhang Minch remarked that this is a great chance to make more money. In front of the Interstellar Alliance branch, reporters met our hero. They wanted Hunter Young Minchal to say a few words to them. They said that this was the man who had made the greatest contribution during the breakthrough from the gate. The reporter asked what kind of treaty the hunter had made with the Interstellar Alliance. Taking advantage of the moment, our hero ran away, leaving the place to himself to Mistress Ellie. Once inside the room, Zhang Minchal thought that he had almost gotten himself in trouble again. Mr. Martin approached the hunter and said that he had prepared everything perfectly. The dwarf said the young man should like everything. Our hero didn't really trust the short man, so he didn't have high expectations. Even earrings and rings were present. What the protagonist saw, however, was above reproach. Martin asked if the young man liked the products. Young Minchu replied that they were perfect, much better than he had expected. The branch head said that if there was more time and budget, they would make the gear even better. Our hero asked the branch head to open the B-rank gate for him. Martin said that it won't be possible for a while. Starting at B-rank increases the difficulty of mopping up. But the trophy level is also much different, so there's a struggle for these gates. For gates starting from B-rank, the Alliance has set minimum conditions for entry. At least 40 D-rank gates and 30 C-rank gates must be cleared. Junkal thought that even mopping up the gate every day, it would take at least 2 months. Martin said there was another way to get a permit by defeating an A-rank hunter from the Interstellar Alliance, and young Minchal thought that was the place to start. The Hunters Union is one of the international organizations with the same rights as the UN. Young Minchal asked if Ellie was angry because he left her with the reporters yesterday and ran away. The girl replied that she didn't care at all. Ellie noticed that although Zhang Minchal had become very strong in such a short time, but still his opponent now was Aong battle to the last breath, so it's fine. Our hero didn't say that because of his arrogance. If you look at the characteristics alone, it seems like he definitely can't win. But if you take into account equipment and past experience, he has a chance. The manager said that the result of passing the exam would be determined after the fight with the A-rank hunter. Young Minch asked if it was just a matter of deactivating the opponent to pass. The young man replied that it would be up to the judge to evaluate the ability to pass. Young Minchal asked, "What is the evaluation criterion?" The youth said that the criterion is not public, so he can't tell. Ellie suggested that it's basic ability and reaction speed, as well as the ability to act in a critical situation. Those are the main evaluation criteria. They announced that the exam preparations were completed and it was okay to enter. Although it is an exam site, everything is done as it is inside the gate. The head of the association's protection division, Ing Hunter, Zhang Song-hai, said that he had been waiting for the young man. The opponent replied that he was in charge of the qualification examination. Zhang Song-hai expressed his confidence that if Zhang Minchal acts like he always does, he will be able to pass the exam without any problems. The protagonist said that in that case, he was ready to begin the hunter qualification exam. Zhang Song-hai said that if one wants to get something, one should give something of equal value in return. Zhang Minch said that this exam would be completely easy for him. Young Shan Hai approached our hero and said that in that case the young man would be able to repel his blow. Zhang Minchal wondered how could this guy get so close. Watching the fight through the monitor, Ellie was surprised that Hunter Zhang Minch had such abilities and thought he would easily pass the exam. The opponents effectively attacked and repelled attacks. The fight did not reveal a clear favorite. Zhang Song-hai said that he now understands how his opponent alone can hold back the gate. The young man passes. Zhang Minch said for his opponent to attack at full strength. He was surprised. Zhang Minch became like a demon and told Zhang Song-hai to attack at full power or else he would finish him off. The young men stood against each other, and it was about that it ceased to be languorous. Zhang Song-hai assumed that there was some kind of why did that guy get angry? I mean, He said everything was fine. Zhang Minch said that it wasn't a misunderstanding. If the opponent had attacked at full strength, would he have been able to dodge so easily? After all, Zhang Songhai's characteristics are 4 times greater than his. Zhang Minchel added that considering the difference, he didn't have a chance. However, he is not afraid of losing. Our hero added that now he can't leave a fight at this level if he is underestimated. Zhang Minch warned one last time that his opponent should show him his full strength. Zhang Shanhai said that if his words didn't matter, he was ready to attack. The young man activated the 7 swords. His ability is to freely wield the 7 swords. Zhang Minch said that was the place to start. Young Minchel, using all his skills, tried to dodge his opponent's attacks. There was no way to attack on his own. Dodging another attack, our hero at first thought he had made a mistake, but his opponent just wanted him to set himself up for the hidden 4th sword. The fact that such a small sword can combine so much power speaks volumes about how strong a hunter Zhang Hai is. But with such an ability, why is he only wielding swords? Zhang Songhai said that his opponent has surprised him more than once in recent weeks. Young Minchu replied that this is still a flower. The protagonist thought that his opponent was finally starting to take him seriously, even though it seemed to him that they didn't have that much difference in strength. If he can hold out long enough, the opponent is bound to make a mistake. Zhang Songhai says to Hunter Zhang Ch to keep his guard up. After another attack, our hero was unable to dodge and flying far back hit his back against the wall. Zhang Songhai inquired, "Are they finally done?" The protagonist thought that this attack might have taken away his arm. Zhang Songhai asked if Zhang Minchu was okay. Seeing that his opponent was back on his feet, Zhang Shanhai thought, who was really in front of him? Zhang Minch felt a great deal of pain. However, the idea of closing with an explosion was a good one. Young Minchu thought that if it wasn't for his armor skill, he would have definitely broken something. Surprisingly, it came out the way he had planned. However, it was very difficult. Right now, the difference between their characteristics was enormous. The system reported that the hero had received the demonic sword of 7 stars. Zhang Songhai, seeing such a sword on his opponent, thought that this might not end well. Zhang Songhai apologized to his opponent. He can't use 100% of his strength because he didn't bring all of his swords with him. Zhang Ch said he doesn't see it as a problem. What is there is enough. Zhang Shanhai said that he is at the peak of his abilities right now. The protagonist activated the first form of the 7 stars demonic sword. The sword that cuts the sun. Zhang Songhai realized that there was nothing he could do. His weapon was breaking apart. The A-Rang hunter thought that one strike wasn't enough after all. Zhang Minch decided to utilize the energy of a universe that he currently still had left. Ellie rushed towards the hunter, Young Minchel. "Is he okay?" Young Minchel said that he had one. Zhang Songhai smiled and remarked that if he had brought all his swords, he would have one. Ellie noticed that the opponents were sitting on the ground against each other and smiling, talking peacefully. The girl didn't understand what was going on. Zhang Minch asked his opponent, what was the result? Zhang Songhai smiled and said that Mr. Hunter had passed the exam. "It's been 3 whole days since I took the exam." Zhang Minch said that he has already recovered from most of the injuries he had earlier and can now enter the B rank. Hellgate rank B resident monsters, adjacent golem, ice troll, snow fairy. Ellie wondered if the hunter was going to be alright. Was he really going to go out there in that condition? He should be treated and given a proper medical checkup before going out. Young Minchu remarked that it was much healthier for him not to receive any treatment. An ancient celestial art transforms the body. Our hero became stronger because he was repeatedly injured and recovered. Having overcome the portal, our hero and his squad found themselves in a snowy area. It was wildly cold, colder than anywhere else. Zhang Yonghyun asked the hunter, "Didn't he get cold at all?" Zhang Minch replied that the wind was not strong. He would say refreshing. Our hero was resistant to low temperatures thanks to the energy of the universe. The guy added that he even wanted to take off his jacket. It seemed useless to him. Young Min asked the cheerleaders if anyone wants to help. He thinks there's a need to set up a small camp because if they freeze, their performance will decrease. The protagonist told Zhang Yonghyun to take care of it and he'll go look around. Looking around, our hero decided that the gate inside was actually much larger than he had realized. Zhang Minch thought that he had already walked quite a bit, but for some reason, he still hadn't met a single monster. At the same moment, Zhang Minch heard a loud roar and turned around to see a huge hairy monster chasing him. The monster turned out to be a yeti with unique abilities. Young Minch said, "Finally, at least there's someone." Young Minch wondered, is this monster really capable of hiding with such a huge size? It even looks ridiculous. Entering the confrontation with Yeti, the guy thought he was even a little nervous since they were in a high-ranking gate, but it turned out to be not so critical. The protagonist used the 5 tiger blade technique. The defenseless animal was wounded and blood splattered the snow around it. Young Minchu said that it was much easier than he thought. The system reported that the hero had received almost 3% experience. Young Minchu thought that the monsters were no different, but the experience was 10 times more because he thought he would get no more than 0.5%. Our hero didn't make a mistake and decided to enter a higher-ranked gate. Young Manchul thought it would be necessary to thank Mr. Martin for his hard work. At the Hunters Association, the warden received a letter of resignation. He wondered what this guy was up to. Zhang Shanhai lowered his head and apologized. The supervisor said he just turned the guy from a reckless person wanting to save people into a decent person, and he now wants to pick up and resign. The supervisor said that he and Zhang Songhai have worked for 10 years. He wants to hear a convincing reason for this decision. Zhang Shanhai said it's a long story. A few days ago, he met a hunter named Zhang Minchu at the exam. He's the guy who solved the problem of the gate breaking through. According to the initial assessment, he possesses an E rank, but he single-handedly dealt with the rift that had appeared. Even so, Zhang Songhai was sure that this guy was weaker than him. Zhang Songhai told the executive that he had proven to be overconfident. Zhang Minch taught a lesson to someone who was too arrogant and reminded him of the way of the hunter. 3 days after the exam was over, Young Hai shook his opponent's hand and said that he had underestimated him. Jan Songhai added that he learned a lot from that fight. The young man told our hero that he would surely catch up with him soon. Zhang Minch stated that it will definitely happen. You just have to work hard. Young Hai thought that every hunter had a limit that he could no longer improve himself through normal methods. He told the department head that he wanted to become stronger. Young Sunung Hai said that was why he was going to enter the tower. The warden thought that this guy was crazy. The tower is a huge structure that appeared during the first cataclysm. By passing the tower test, a man can become stronger, but to do so, he will have to risk his own life. Hunter Zhang Song Hai had already almost reached his limit. The department head thought there was no reason for this guy to go through all that trouble. He tore up the resignation letter. The man said he would pretend like he hadn't seen the letter. Zhang Song Hai could go on vacation, rest properly, and then come back. Zhang Song Hai bowed to the leader and said that he would come back for vacation and stop by here. Zhang Song Hai thought that Zhang Minchul was probably relentlessly advancing the path of a hunter right now. He's not going to stand still either. Raid on the Bang Gate, Day 3. The time until the breakthrough is 40.5 hours. Our hero thought that if he doesn't destroy the boss, monsters will keep appearing like this. As long as there aren't too many of them, a breakthrough won't happen. So, this is the best place to hunt. After another group of monsters was destroyed, the system reported that the hero had reached level 15. To search for traces of monsters, the hero opened new skills: Power of Charm and Power of Hellfire. The hunters were faced with a strange sight. Zhang Yonghyun asked what it was. Young Minchu said that it was necessary to rest for a while. In the depths of the Pandemium dimension, there is an old castle known as the Hall of Sins. There is also a group of beings known as the 72 nobles on the throne. The Hall of Sins gives power to the demon who sits on the throne. Enormous, almost infinite power. This is what is called the power of sin. Youngmin Cho thought that he shouldn't have access to the power of sin. Both of these powers had never belonged to him. A former wielder of Hellfire, an 11th ranked demon, Grandio. He is able to control hellfire that can burn everything around him. A former charm wielder, a demoness of the 50th rank, Seraphina. She has the power to bewitch anyone and take away their ability to think straight. Our hero has destroyed them both in the past. It turns out that he can get the abilities of those he destroyed in his past life. However, he had to choose between the two. The choice was obvious. He didn't know where he could use the charm. The protagonist chose the power of hellfire. The system reported that this skill will assimilate with the protagonist's soul. It would be able to contain both light and dark energy. The power of hellfire transformed into the spark of the abyss. Young Chul wondered if he was about to undergo another transformation. He wanted to try out his new skill right now. Just as a group of monsters were wandering around, our hero waved his hand at the monsters and told these monkeys to attack him. The monsters were aggressive, and it was immediately obvious that they didn't get the joke. Recently, the hero's usual picture of the world has been shattered. He has been reborn in a human body, and it received such a rare power of sin. Our hero knew what hellfire was, but what was illumination? Zhang Minch used his new skill, Hellfire, and it sent him straight into the nearest monster. The monster was embraced by those hellish flames and screamed loudly in fear. Zhang Minch thought he had the power of a Grandio demon. The flames would incinerate the target as long as the caster had mana. The monsters were terrified. Illumination sounds like it's some sort of divine power. Our hero decided to use this skill and get to know him better. The protagonist didn't have it in his head. He, a former demon, would use divine power. The system reported that the hero was using lighting the spark of the abyss. Divine power is meant to banish evil, so he can't attack directly. However, this power can be used as a buff that increases physical abilities. It's definitely effective, but perhaps because the hero was a demon in a past life, goosebumps ran all over his body. Youngmin Chul realized that he had received this from the Archangel of Elia Michael. He had destroyed this Archangel in his past life. Then our hero gets the abilities of everyone he destroyed, regardless of race. That's real cheating. Martial arts are mainly focused on melee combat, so he thought that raids wouldn't seem easy, but he unexpectedly received a ranged skill and a blessing. Young Minch thought he'd had enough hunting. It's time to visit the boss and close the gate. The Ice Spirit said he would destroy this man. The people who saw this monster screamed with fear. Zhang Minchel attacked the monster with demonic flames and thought, are the monsters now taking on the cheerleading squad? However, they won't be able to do anything. The Hellfire attack was timely and the monster was destroyed. Having destroyed the monsters nearby, our hero, accompanied by a support group, arrived at the cave. Young Minch said that the hunters accompanying him should stop here and rest. Zhang Yonghun wondered if the hunter was really going to fight the Bangate boss alone. Zhang Minchal stated that he certainly wasn't going to back down. Zhang Yonghun warned the hunter not to get killed or they would all be in great danger. Our hero entered the cave. As he moved forward, he heard someone ask him, is he the only one? Young Minch replied that there was only one opponent in front of him, too. The protagonist met the boss monster. It was Bigfoot Chief Nanan. Nanan grinned and summoned his slaves. Aggressive monsters appeared around him. He said he was not alone. Nan told his subordinates to get rid of the intruder. Zhang Minchal replied that this boss called out some weaklings just to keep lying there and doing nothing. The guy stated that he would make the boss regret his decision. Our hero applied the deed of sliding clouds and attacked the monsters using the mountain's splitting technique. The protagonist cleared a path and approached the boss monster. The system reported that the hero was using Hellfire. Monsters were suffering damage. Another Yeti received a heavy blow with an axe to the head. The monster screamed loudly in pain. Nan expressed his displeasure, and our hero noticed that finally the boss had decided to join the party. Nan, flashing his eyes, menacingly said that he would personally destroy this man. Nan raised his huge paw and intended to crush our hero with it. Zhang Minch managed to evade this attack and jumped on top of the huge Yeti's head. The man asked why this monkey was throwing himself at him so thoughtlessly. Young Minch struck with his axe and used a Hellfire attack. The monster shouted, how dare this man do this to him? Nanan stood up to his full height and raised his hands up. He applied the ice storm. Zhang Minch looked up at his opponent from below and thought that the Hellfire wouldn't help him defend himself now. Young Minchel used the Holy Spark skill and healed all of his wounds. He asked his opponent, is this really all he can do? The monster said again that he would crush this man and, blazing with even more anger, pounced on his opponent. Young Minchel used the star slicing blade technique. The monster couldn't do anything in response and screamed loudly. Young Minchel said he warned the monster will regret it. Ellie thanked the hunter for his hard work and offered a refreshing drink. Young Minchel acknowledged that he had worked hard. Still, it takes a lot of effort to close the Beyond Gate alone. Ellie told her interlocutor that even A-Rang hunters don't go hunting one at a time. The girl made a stern expression and asked, doesn't Zhang Mincho realize how dangerous this is? Young Minchal couldn't tell if Ellie was worried about him or just angry. Our hero stated to the girl that he is not overworked, so she may not worry about him. Ellie clarified that she implied that the Hunters Association would have a problem if something happened to Zhang Minchu. It's not a personal interest. Ellie saw Zhang Yonghyun and asked what brought the commander here. The hunter showed the girl the stone and asked if she could look at it. This crystal had fallen off the boss monster's body. Zhang Yonghun said that he has never seen a crystal like this before and can't analyze it. Zhang Minch thought that it might seem like a useless crystal from the outside, but it was a fragment of the Drank key that would unlock access to the Drank test, a hidden stage on the 5th floor of the test tower. Zhang Minch asked the hunter if Zhang Yonghyun would mind if he took the crystal for himself. Zhang Yonghyun said that Zhang Minch has priority anyway. Our hero stated that he knew nothing about this crystal, but would take it just in case. Young Minchal thought even if he digs through his memories, the tower is so classified that he wouldn't be able to find a single trace of it. Since this item is related to the tower, he should take it for himself. Saying goodbye to Ellie, the protagonist asked that she contact him if she found a rank C or B gate. Our hero had no time to rest. He needed to train. Ever since the Chongho gate appeared, he hadn't missed a day of martial arts training. Considering that there aren't many C-rank gates and above, this is the best option he has at the moment. Training is much more effective than trying to pass through a D-rank gate. A phone call sounded. Our hero answered it. Mr. Martin reported that they had found a B-rank gate that could be cleared. The head of the branch stated that a contingency had arisen. The association had set a condition. The gate would be cleared in cooperation with other guilds. Young Minchell was surprised. Did he really need to cooperate with other hunters? Mr. Martin said that he would deny the request.